What's going on, guys? Nathan here. Today I'm going to give you a simple way to catch them bluffing. This works almost every single time. Try out this simple strategy for yourself next time at the poker tables. And I do need to mention off the top that this is going to be a bit more of an advanced video. I often make videos on this channel for beginner poker players, but today's video is more targeted at some of you guys who play against good aggressive players. So let's jump into it. So starting off with catching them in a bluff, guys, we're going to talk specifically today about low stakes games like a $1, $2 game, because I think that those are the kind of games that a lot of you guys play in. And what you need to understand is that these games today are chock full of a lot of aggressive, bad bluffers, and that is exactly who we're going to be targeting in today's video. So you have ace king offsuit, ace of hearts, king of clubs in middle position, and a bad reg calls you on the button. Now, I'm not going to go deep into the table positions in this video. Once again, I'm making this video for more sophisticated advanced poker players, but suffice it to say, this is a very typical spot for us with a very strong hand, ace king. We're going to be raising here, and a bad reg, let me just break that down quickly for you. A bad regular is a regular player who you see day in and day out at the poker tables. They're trying to win. They are watching videos like this, trying to improve their game. However, they still struggle significantly in understanding how to read board textures, how to understand player types, ranges, and so on. And we're really going to see that in today's example hand. So this player calls you on the button, so we know that they're going to have position on us throughout the hand. So let's go see the flop now of the 9 of hearts, 4 of spades, and 5 of clubs. So we have completely missed the board here. This is going to happen 2 out of 3 times when you go to see the flop. There's no point in me making a video where we smash the flop with an ace king 5, because I don't need to make a video to teach you how to play that spot. That's easy. So let's talk about a board like this, a 9-4-5, where you have absolutely nothing. Well, a very common play here will be to just make a continuation bet. I have talked about this in multiple videos here on the channel and in all my books and my training courses and so on, that most of the time when you're up against one player on one of these harmless boards like this, and you have the nut no pair hand, which is what ace king is on this board, and what I mean by that is that we have the best no pair hand possible. So if they have ace jack, for example, we're significantly ahead of that hand, that in a situation like that, you just want to make a bet the vast majority of the time here. But when I am up against one of these bad aggressive regs, a lot of times I will just check it to them in a spot like this, because I know that this is going to give them the rope to go on some sort of crazy wild bluff, and we're going to see that as this hand plays out. So we're going to decide to just check in this spot, and let's move on to calling for value now, number 2. So guys, while a flop of 9 of hearts, 4 of spades, 5 of clubs is definitely not a good flop for our hand, we need to understand that this is a very dry and uncoordinated board, and when a player like this makes a bet after we check it to them, they're repping precisely nothing. So you should definitely be calling in a spot like this. This is the whole point. Guys, remember, we do have the best currently no pair hand with ace king, so I expect an aggressive player to try to bluff at this with all sorts of hands. For example, like an ace queen, an ace jack, an ace 10, a king queen, a king jack, on and on. If they've got a wheel straight draw with an ace deuce, for example, I expect them to bluff in this situation. And even if they have some sort of pair like a pocket 6s or a pocket 7s, we still have significant equity against those hands, because we still have 2 strong overcards. It can come with an ace or a king on the turn or river for us to catch up with those hands. So you definitely want to be making a call in this situation. And really the bottom line here, guys, is to understand that many regs in today's games, when you check it to them, when you fail to make your c-bet here, they will make a stab at it with all of these hands that we just talked about that we're significantly ahead of, like a queen jack, for example, or even a total nothing hand like an 8-7, which just has a gut shot straight draw. So guys, this is an easy call, and let's move on now to number 3 on the turn, which is to keep giving them rope. So guys, remember the flop was the 9-4-5, and now the turn comes down with the 5 of diamonds, and I definitely think you want to be checking to them again here. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us to suddenly start betting out of the blue here. Instead, we just want to keep checking it to them, giving them the rope to hang themselves. So that's exactly what we do here. We check it again, and a bad aggro reg bets again. So what should you do here, guys? Well, this is going to go against a lot of the standard standard advice out there, but I would say that you should be calling again here a large majority of the time. And let's really break this down for you. Guys, the 5 of diamonds changes absolutely nothing on this board. If this player had some sort of draw like an 8-7, this doesn't help them at all. If they had a hand like a king-queen or a 10-8, this card doesn't help them at all. Basically, there is no indication that another 5 should help any of their bluffing range at all. And once again, we do not expect any of their strong value hands to be betting again in a spot like this. I'm actually going to talk about that in a second a little bit more so you guys really understand hands like pocket 10s, pocket jacks, pocket queens, how those hands would play in this situation. And so guys, you really want to be making the call again here. I talk about this, by the way, in several videos in my Elite Poker Training University, 17 plus hours of advanced poker training, 50 plus videos, hundreds of example hands, downloadable cheat sheets, and more. I have just opened up enrollment. I will leave a link to that in the description below. But let's move on to number 4 now on the river, and this is all about making the big call. All right, guys, so the river comes down here with the 3 of spades. Complete airball, changes absolutely nothing, complete brick. So we check to the bad reg and they decide to fire again. Now guys, this is a very dicey situation, but I'm often going to lean towards making the big crazy call in a situation like this, because the only thing you really need to ask yourself is, what is this bad aggro reg actually representing on this board? It is such an incredibly narrow value range, guys. Let's really try to walk through their entire range here. So pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens. Well, we can largely discount those hands because, guys, remember, before the flop we raised, they just called. Why would those hands just call pre-flop? We know that those hands are very likely to re-raise pre-flop, so we can often discount those hands. Now let's talk about a pocket jacks or a pocket 10s. Well, typically those hands could play in this manner pre-flop where they just flat us on the button, but typically in a spot like this where we have called the entire way and we raise pre-flop, these hands will often get a little bit gun shy on the turn. They'll often check back on the turn, for example, for some pot control, and also because they're just afraid that we're slow playing a hand like pocket aces ourselves. And now let's talk about some middle pocket pair hands like a pocket 6s, pocket 7s, pocket 8s. Once again, guys, all you really need to ask yourself is, would any of these hands play this board run out in this manner? I think the answer is clearly no. There is no reason why a hand like pocket 7s would bet all 3 streets in this situation. It makes 0 sense. They are almost always going to check back the river here after we've called on the flop and turn, because they're going to be really scared that we have a hand like pocket jacks, pocket queens, and so on. Once again, we raise pre-flop in middle position, so those hands clearly are in our range. So what does this leave us with? Well, it leaves us with pocket 9s, which is obviously the monster on this board, which hit top set and has a full house here by the river. This player also could have had pocket 4s, which is another monster hand, of course, or pocket 5s for quads. But guys, I think you know where we're going here. These are a very small percentage of their range. And now what else can they possibly have in this situation which makes sense to bet all 3 streets? That is, of course, all of their bluffs. Their king queen, their king jack, their ace queen, their ace jack, their queen jack, and so on. Their 8-7 for the missed draw. These are all the hands that we expect a bad aggressive reg to show up here with on the river to bet all 3 streets with. And so guys, bottom line in this situation, I am not saying this is a slam dunk call. This is a difficult call, don't get me wrong. But putting all the pieces of the puzzle together in this hand, there really aren't too many value hands in their range here, and therefore I think that there are enough bluffs that we can make the big call here on the river and expect to have the best hand most of the time. But guys, I want to be very clear, this is an advanced play that should only be used in higher stakes games. You do not want to be calling down all 3 streets in small stakes games versus most players. But guys, like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments below how you catch them bluffing. And finally, if you want to know my entire strategy to beat the small and mid stakes games, make sure to grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. I will link that up in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. All the best at the poker tables.